Hey y'all, welcome to Martell's Movie Madness. This is your host, Ryan Martell, as always. This is the Thanksgiving episode. Y'all know what's up. I got a real cool episode planned for y'all today. It's just going to be me, because last week was the guest episode. Of course, I think it would have ended up being a guest episode this week if I hadn't pushed a guest episode out the first week of November instead of the second week like I normally do. But that's neither here nor there. It kind of works out because I wanted to do something cool for Thanksgiving anyway. It is November 24th if you're listening on Patreon, or November 28th, Thanksgiving Day if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. I think CastBox is a day late for some reason. It's supposed to drop on the Thursdays, but I think it's dropping on Fridays instead. But maybe I'm just getting it late on my app. But if you're listening to this on Patreon, and you're a patron, thank you very much. You should be listening on Patreon because you get it a full 4 days early, sometimes even earlier than that. My Brooklyn Ewing episode dropped a whole week early. So sometimes you get shit like real early, and you get a lot of bonus material if you join the $10 and up tier. So that's a cool thing too. We got right now on the Patreon, we have the Halloween special, of course, which is like a radio show. It's a full about an hour and a half, hour 45, I think. Music, fake TV fake radio ads. It's got a shocking conclusion. There is the Disney Plus review episode up on Patreon. There's a John Waters appreciation episode up. There is the Days of the Dead pre-game and post-show episodes, both up from September. And I think that's all the bonus episodes I've got up, I think. There are some small little bonus videos up there for Patreon only that are from when I did the Retro Horror series. And yeah, you get YouTube videos early there too. It's not just podcast episodes. Everything that I produce under the Martell's Movie Madness, and hell, maybe even Martell the God banners, will be put on that Patreon early before the public gets it. So go ahead and go over there. That's patreon.com/Martell's Movie Madness. I'm sorry. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and that doesn't really get you anything, but that's just kind of like the, hey, I want to support but don't have much money kind of tier. And then the $5 tier, that's where you start getting the early access. $10 tier is where you get the early access and bonus episodes, as well as a thank you for joining, and then so on and so forth. There's a couple of other tiers. I'm just kind of trying to get things started out over there, so hopefully you'll join up and we'll start to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I can do bigger and better things for y'all on the Patreon. Alright, but before I get into what I got planned for y'all for this Thanksgiving episode of Martell's Movie Madness, I want to go ahead and plug these dates. November 30th at 9 p.m., the horror movie Icon Comedy Roast is going on at Vizart Video. I unfortunately will not be attending because I will be in Winston-Salem for WrestleCade. I will be meeting one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, the Great Muta. And that is also that weekend, so unfortunately I will not be at Vizart that night, but you should go on out there if you're in Charlotte and you want to see some stand-up comedy with a horror movie flair to it. It's going to be real fun. December 13th at 10 p.m., Jokesploitation Comedy is hosted by Jake Manning. That's also at Vizart Video. I'm not sure what the cover is for that, but there is a cover for sure. December 14th is my show with Stitchy C. It's actually Stitchy C's show, but I'm also playing on it. It's a Very Merry Stitchmas, the Stitchy C Christmas show. I'm playing, Stitchy C's playing, obviously, King Rash, Wise Minds, and more. Come on out and support local hip-hop with that one. Also, I would like to say that if you want tickets for that, you can go ahead and message me on any of my social medias, or even reach out on the Martell's Movie Madness. I won't be mad about it. Just hit me up if you want tickets for that. They're $15 each, and I've got them. But again, that's December 14th at the Sylvia Theater in York, South Carolina, where I had been doing all my Martell's Movie Madness live events. And that's going to start at 8:30. That is all the dates I have to plug right now. Before I get into the What You Watching segment of the show. Oh, sorry about that. Just got them real close to the mic all of a sudden. Before I get into the What You Watching episode, the What You Watching segment of the show, I do want to go ahead and plug our social medias and my personal social medias. If you want to follow me, I am at Trailer Trash God on Instagram. That is trailer as in you haul things in a trailer, trash as in you throw me in the trash, and God as in the one and only. I am also at Martell the God on Twitter. And you can just find me on Facebook under Ryan Martell. And for Martell's Movie Madness, the show, it's at Martell's Movie Madness on Instagram and Facebook. And then Twitter, it is at Movie Madness 69. I want to thank everybody who's already following us on those different platforms. I'm not posting as much on Twitter as I was. I'm still pretty active there, though. The Instagram gets at least 1 or 2 posts a week. I'm trying to get back up on everything. Like, I'm trying to get back into the groove of posting more on all of the social medias for the Martell's Movie Madness. So yeah, go ahead and go follow us over there. Give us a message or comment, whatever you want to do. Just let us know what's up. Give us any suggestions you have for the show, any suggestions for Patreon perks, any questions you have about Patreon. I'm going to do a video soon, probably tonight, about what Patreon actually is, because I know a lot of people don't know what it is and why they should join, which is obvious, but, you know. Alright, so moving along, we got the What You Watching segment, which is one of my favorites because I get to tell all the movies I've been watching and hopefully inspire people to watch some movies. I'm going to start with my Amazon Prime watches for this week, which is only one. It is The Barn. I gave it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I don't know much about The Barn. I didn't make a lot of notes this week for the What You Watching because I knew the episode itself was going to be a little longer. Maybe, possibly. But I didn't make a lot of notes for The Barn or any of the What You Watchings, actually. So I don't know much about it. I know it's like in some way affiliated with Scream Team Releasing. I think they put out the Blu-ray. I know they're making a part 2. I went to a panel with one of the guys that made it at Days of the Dead, so I got to hear him talk about different things about like being an indie filmmaker. But yeah, The Barn is super fun. It's very campy, 80s kind of slasher horror movie. It's legit really good though. It's fun and campy, but it's also a good movie. Gave it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Go ahead and check that one out. It's available on Amazon Prime right now. Next up, I'm gonna do Hulu, and I watched Pilgrim. Blumhouse's Pilgrim. It is a Hulu exclusive. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's legit really creepy and also pretty fun to watch. It's family. The stepmom hires like a it's supposed to be like a Thanksgiving reenactor to come, and they're gonna like reenact the first Thanksgiving for the family. And little did she know how accurate it was gonna actually be, because Blumhouse, if people die, spoiler alert. But yeah, you should go ahead and check that one out. It's on Hulu, like I said. 3.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. What in the hell? Okay. Next up is the ones that I owned. This one actually my brother owned, and we watched it together. This was my first time watching it. He's seen it a couple times. The King of New York, starring Christopher Walken. It's also got a young Lawrence Fishburne in it, and a couple other little recognizable faces. It is a gangster movie. It takes place in New York. I want to say mid 80s, late 80s maybe. Very gritty movie, but also very badass in action. Like, it's got like really beautiful cinematography to it, but it's also still like real gritty and dirty looking. And I think that's just because of New York. Like, at the time, that's just the way New York looked. God, what's the guy? Abel Ferrara is the director for this one. And it was super good. I'm gonna check out more of his movies. There's one that I really want to check out called Bad Lieutenant that's got Harvey Keitel in it. It's come highly recommended to me from a friend. So definitely going to check out more of his movies. 4.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I'm sorry, I misread my notes. Fucking great movie. You got to check it out. I suggest watching The King of New York any way you can. I think it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. I believe I saw it on Prime also. I can't check because I'm currently recording the podcast, but it's either on one of those or the other. But I would suggest buying the DVD or Blu-ray, just because physical media is cool and it's a great movie, so you're not going to regret it. The next one on the owned list is Anna and the Apocalypse. I finally watched it. I bought it on a whim because a friend of mine said that it was really fun and funny and cute. And he was right. It was real fun, it was real funny, and it was cute. And it had, some cool kills in it. It was a zombie apocalypse movie, but it was also a musical, and it took place at Christmas. So, yeah, it's got the recipe for the perfect horror comedy musical. Definitely worth checking out. I gave it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I did buy this one on DVD before I watched it, but I also noticed that it was on Prime. I didn't watch it on Prime. I watched my DVD, but it is available on Amazon Prime right now to watch. So if you're a Prime member, you can go check out Anna and the Apocalypse right now. Next up is my Vizart video movies. I just realized I forgot to do pick of the week at the top of this, so I'm going to do it at the end. The Seventh Seal, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Ingmar Bergman is a Swedish film. It's about this knight and his squire who are coming back from like some crusades, I think, and he notices that death is behind him, and he challenges death to a game of chess to kind of get an extension on his time on Earth. And the reason why he says this is because he wants to do one meaningful act. He feels like his life has been meaningless. But yeah, it's real cool because they come across a lot of different people and make a lot of different acquaintances. It's got some good characters. It's got a lot of good writing, and it's just beautifully shot and well made. So that one's a good one. Check it out. It's a 5 out of 5. I rented it at Vizart Video. I don't know if it's available on any streaming services. I do know that it is a Criterion Collection DVD that I rented. So it's likely on their streaming service. I've heard that it's a tad bit expensive, so if you're a more casual movie fan, then it probably isn't worth it. But I would definitely say try to watch it somehow. Definitely don't illegally download it, though. Go ahead and pay for it somehow, because it's a fantastic movie and art needs to be supported. Welcome to the Dollhouse is the next one from the Vizart Video list. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. I watched Happiness. I think that was on the last episode when I talked about Happiness. It's the same director and writer, I think. Todd Solondz. He's definitely working through some shit in those movies for sure. He's either got some childhood trauma or has a sibling that has some severe childhood trauma, and he has trauma by, way of proxy. But either way, like it's made him make some pretty damn good movies. Welcome to the Dollhouse isn't quite as dark as Happiness because it does have it has a lot of lighthearted moments. Like there's a lot of it's a dark comedy for sure, but it's not as heavy as Happiness. It gets heavy. It does get very heavy at points, but it's not quite the heavy load that Happiness was. I definitely feel like I will rewatch Welcome to the Dollhouse at some point. But yeah, that's what we got. 3.5 out of 5 for Welcome to the Dollhouse. Next up is Masked Mutilator. Masked Mutilator is a movie that was shot in 1994 for the most part. It was an incomplete film until some company bought it and finished it with stuff that they shot recently, and they somehow made a really good movie out of it. I mean, most of the times when you hear about movies that are like failed projects or projects that never got finished and then they get released, put together, chopped up, they end up being kind of shit. But this one actually turned out pretty good, I think, for a kind of cheap independent slasher, you know what I mean? I gave it a 3 out of 5 on the Martell scale. It is sold on the premise of it having actual professional wrestlers in it, and the killer in the movie is like supposed to be a professional wrestler type gimmick character. But you wouldn't really recognize any of the names or faces of the professional wrestlers unless you were like a super diehard fan. The one guy is actually more known for being in a lot of Troma movies. He was in Class of Nuke 'Em High 2 and Class of Nuke 'Em High 3, The Good, the Bad, and the Subhuman. Yeah. But, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's got some jobber guys in it, and, well, I guess they were territory stars, probably, and, like, job guys when they were in the Fed or WCW or ECW or whatever. So yeah, that one's a cool one. It's worth checking out. Also, I think Severin Films or Vinegar Syndrome put it out. One of those did. And I rented it from Vizart, obviously, so I don't know if you can... Oh, actually, I do know that you can stream it on Amazon Prime, because I did see it. You can stream it on Amazon, so go ahead and check that one out. But if you live in Charlotte, or close enough to Charlotte where you would be considered local to Charlotte, I guess. So like maybe they would let you rent if you lived in Belmont or Gastonia or Concord. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of iffy. I would say if you live in Charlotte, for sure, go check it out at VisArt. Go rent it at VisArt. All you need to join VisArt is a local ID and a credit card for file or debit card for file. Yeah, it takes no time to sign up. Membership is free, and they've got a hell of a selection, so it's worth checking out. VisArt Video, they're on Eastway Drive in Charlotte, so go ahead and check them out. And go ahead and check Mass Mutilator out and all those movies that I just talked about. I was trying to figure out, because I knew I rented 4 movies, but I remembered that I did Multiple Maniacs on the last episode. So that's why I only had 3 to do this week. Okay, so now for the pick of the week. I didn't write one down. So I've got to think what I've watched recently or rewatched recently that I should put as the pick of the week. Okay, I got it. I had to do a little cut there and come back to you. The Great Muppet Caper. I had forgotten that I had even watched it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. If you haven't seen The Great Muppet Caper, I can't even begin to explain how amazing that movie is. It might actually be better than the original Muppet movie, even though the original Muppet movie seems like it is my favorite for so many reasons. I just watched it more, I think, than The Great Muppet Caper. But The Great Muppet Caper, fantastic mystery movie with Muppets. It's just great. I can't even begin to explain how amazing it is. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have seen it, then go rewatch it, man. It's on Disney Plus. It's definitely worth rewatching. It's just as enjoyable as an adult as it is as a kid. I also remembered when I cut that I forgot to put another one down for the Hulu section. I watched Jingle Bell Rock, a documentary about people who love Christmas music and collect Christmas music and the different styles of Christmas music and things that are different from your traditional kind of Christmas music. It's definitely very fun and interesting documentary. It was real cool. It was real cool to watch. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 on the Martell scale. Alright, so that wraps up what you watching. I am going to take a quick little cut here, and then I will be back with the episode. Oh shit, I forgot to tell y'all. I think I forgot to tell y'all at the beginning of the episode what I was actually doing for the Thanksgiving special episode. So yeah, the theme for this episode, I'm going to be doing actually 2 things. I'm going to give y'all 6 movies to watch on Thanksgiving, and then I'm also going to give a list of 25 movies that I'm thankful for. So stick around, because it's going to get good. We'll be back right after this.
Charlie Brown, oh Charlie Brown.
I can't believe it. She must think I'm the most stupid person alive.
Come on, Charlie Brown. I'll hold the ball and you kick it.
Hold it? Ha! You'll pull it away and I'll land flat on my back and kill myself.
But Charlie Brown, it's Thanksgiving.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, one of the greatest traditions we have is the Thanksgiving Day football game. And the biggest, most important tradition of all is the kicking off of the football.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Come on, Charlie Brown. It's a big honor for you.
Well, if it's that important, a person should never turn down a big honor. Maybe I should do it. Besides, she wouldn't try to trick me on a traditional holiday. This time I'm gonna kick that football clear to the moon! Ah!
earlier, Charlie Brown, how some traditions just slowly fade away.
Alright, welcome back to Martell's Movie Madness. I am Ryan Martell, like I said before at the beginning. Thank y'all for listening. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, I guess. I'm going to start with the 6 movies to watch on Thanksgiving. Now, these aren't really Thanksgiving movies per se. I haven't watched many actual Thanksgiving movies. There is one on there are 2 on the list that are actual Thanksgiving movies. But the others I just think are good movies to watch around Thanksgiving. So here we go. Number 6 is Son-in-Law. Or I'm not going to do this. This is not in order. This is not in order by any means. I don't have them ranked or nothing. So first is Son-in-Law, 1993 movie. Pauly Shore. I mean, it's so fucking hilarious. Like, it's just dumb. Pauly Shore's college friend, the friend that he makes at college, his dorm mate, I guess, decides to take him home as her boyfriend for Thanksgiving break. And yeah, shenanigans ensue because he is not like the rest of the family, and he is not like what they expected their daughter to bring home for Thanksgiving. So yeah. Next up is Pilgrim. That's the second one I got. I mentioned earlier that it's a real cool movie on Hulu by Blumhouse. Pretty creepy, pretty fun. Lots of cool gags and gore in it. Go ahead and go check that one out as well. That one just came out. Another one is Steel Magnolias. Now we're getting into the more traditional movie fan or casual movie fan wheelhouse. I don't know. It's a very family movie, and I feel like Thanksgiving is all about family. So definitely fits the aesthetic of Thanksgiving for me. Sorry, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get the best sound I can, possibly. So I'm moving around a little bit. I'm trying to experiment with different ways of putting the mic, different ways of holding the mic. It's a whole process. I'm just trying to make a better show for y'all. Trying different things. But yeah, Steel Magnolias is another one. Number 4 is Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Came out in 2006. It's a trauma movie. That should tell you all you need to know about it. It's off the fucking wall, off the fucking rails. Goddamn thing is so goddamn insane that you gotta laugh at it. You gotta love it because it's fucking crazy. It's fucking insanity from fucking minute 1 to damn the fucking end. Obviously, the reason I put it on here is because it has to do with chicken and eating. So, and everybody eats on Thanksgiving. Well, not everybody, but that's what it is. That's what it is. It's about to me because, yeah, we all know what the real roots of Thanksgiving are and how it's based on a lie, and it's just it's a celebration of genocide, basically. And I'm not down with that at all. But what I am down for is, everybody in the family just kind of getting together and getting along and, having a good meal together. That's something cool, and that's what I think of when I think of Thanksgiving. And I don't just mean blood family. Like, I know a lot of people aren't cool with their blood family, so, your friends are family too. So it's important to gather together on Thanksgiving and just be thankful for the people we have in our life and the food that we have, if we have food. So, yeah, that's what Thanksgiving is to me, and that's why I celebrate it. It doesn't have anything to do with no bullshit pilgrims or fucking no stupid bullshit fairy tale they told us in high school or elementary school or middle school. I think by high school they started telling us a little bit of the truth of it, but they still never uncovered it fully. Not in the South, no way. Okay, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Number, where am I at? 5. Number 5, The Wizard of Oz. A lot of people consider this a Christmas movie or a Christmas time movie, a movie you watch around Christmas. But yeah, and I think that Thanksgiving Day actually is the beginning of the Christmas season. So after you eat that big Thanksgiving meal and everybody's done, they're full and they're about to take their little mini naps on the couch or whatever, throw on Wizard of Oz and just drift off into dreamland. Go right over the rainbow, man. Because that to me is like the kickoff of Christmas, is watching The Wizard of Oz. Last but not least is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course, directed by Tobe Hooper. Just because of the iconic dining scene, the dinner scene, just because of how fucking... That's a hell of a Thanksgiving right there, when they fucking... That dinner scene, that would be crazy. And I know that is some people's Thanksgiving, so... yeah, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Wizard of Oz, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, Steel Magnolias, Pilgrim, and Son-in-Law. Those are the 6 movies you gotta watch on Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys are gonna watch all 6, but if you don't, I'll understand. I know that some people listening to this podcast probably don't really like horror movies, so Texas Chainsaw, Poultrygeist, and Pilgrim are a little more out of their wheelhouse. Poultrygeist, it is a horror movie, but it's more of a comedy that just has horror elements, like most Troma movies are. They're definitely more horror than they are, more comedy than they are horror. But yeah, I strongly suggest checking them all out, especially Poultrygeist. So yeah, that's my 6 movies to watch on Thanksgiving. Oh shit. That's my 6 movies to watch on Thanksgiving. Hopefully all these fucking mishaps I'm having aren't making this shit unlistenable. I'm actually surprised that the rain's holding off while I'm recording, because it was pouring down a while ago, and I was like, oh shit, that's gonna pick up on the mic, but it's not right now, so I'm doing good. Alright, so now I'm gonna move on into the segment that is the 25 movies that I'm thankful for. They're not in any order, it's no ranking or anything, and they're just 25 movies that I picked. 25 out of all the movies I've seen that I'm thankful for this year particularly. I'll probably do this every year. A lot of them will be the same. I'll probably add some new ones, mix it up a little bit every year. I'm not going to do a Martell scale rating for them, because some of them have already been rated and some of them are pick of the weeks, and the others will eventually be pick of the weeks. So yeah, that's what I did. I picked 25 random movies, well, not random, but 25 movies that I know mean a lot to me, personally. The first one on the list is House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie's first movie. I think it's fucking hilarious. He likes to call himself a horror director, and he does make some horror movies, but House of a Thousand Corpses is definitely a comedy. It has horror elements. It is scary. It's definitely a horror comedy, though. It is definitely scary and very fucking hilarious. Just even some of the scary parts are funny, but like just the characters. He built a world and he made these great over the top, off the wall characters, these oddballs and outsiders, and it just, to this day, whenever somebody has the idea to watch House of a Thousand Corpses, I am always down to watch House of a Thousand Corpses. Just because, man, I can't fucking get enough of it. Grandpa talking about just let me get behind the wheel of that sumbitch. I'll show him how to drive. You know, it's hilarious. And Bill Moseley, Otis Driftwood is probably one of the greatest horror villains of the last, you know, however many years since these movies have come out. So that's really fucking cool. Everybody just plays their part so well in House of a Thousand Corpses. Next up, to no one's surprise, is Scream. Of course, Scream is a very fucking important movie to me. Like, Scream 1 and 2 were some of the first horror movies I ever watched fully. Like, I want to say Scream was legitimately the first horror movie I ever watched from beginning to end. Because I had the VHS tape of it. And, yeah, so it holds a special place in my heart. Like, it's a great fucking movie, first of all. It's the prototype for every 90s movie, every 90s horror movie that came out after it. And it's just Wes Craven being a fucking genius. What is the guy that wrote it? Fuck. Kevin Williamson, I think. Yeah. And it's just his writing is great. Wes's directing is fucking fantastic. I mean, that movie was perfect. Is perfect. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. I got to meet Skeet Ulrich, who plays Billy Loomis in Scream, recently, and it was fucking great. It was one of the best things I've had happen to me in a while. And I'm actually hopefully gonna have the opportunity coming up in February to meet Neve Campbell, who played Sydney in all of the Scream movies, and I'm so stoked to meet her because, like, I've got to meet her. I have to meet Sydney. I cannot not meet Sydney. Of course, Jamie Kennedy and Matthew Lillard are also going to be appearing at that convention where I'm going to be able to meet Sydney, so hopefully I'll be able to meet them too. But if budgetary restraints come down to it and I have to pick one, she's definitely the one. Yeah, I love that movie. I love that whole franchise. Again, and I probably should have said this at the beginning, but like, if it's a movie from a franchise, I pick my favorite one from that franchise, or just one to you know, kind of encompass all movies. So like, the Scream franchise is really what's represented here by Scream. But yeah, it's one of the most important movies in my life. Lionheart, Jean-Claude Van Damme, just being a badass, you know, fucking doing underground illegal bare knuckle boxing matches or kickboxing matches, I should say, because, well, they were really free for alls. They were just street fights. Trying to make money to keep his sister-in-law and niece in their house, their apartment, after his brother dies, fucking with some drug dealers. Man, it's fucking insane. You gotta check it out. If you haven't seen Lionheart, or you're not a big 90s action fan, I get it. But to me, this one is like super fucking good. It's very it's everything you want and more from a 90s action movie. It's got illegal street fighting, it's got shitty bad guys, and it's great. Candyman. Oh man, Candyman. I've gushed about Candyman on this podcast so many times that I don't feel like I need to do it again here, but y'all know I love Candyman. The soundtrack, the score, you know, Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd, holy shit, like, Bernard Rose made that movie. He fucking made it. He made a fucking masterpiece. It's so beautiful. It's like a romantic horror movie. It's so fucking, like, it's shot like in a way that a love movie would be made. Like it's supposed to be. Like, it's scary, but it's so beautiful. It's so pretty to look at when you watch it. And man, it's just great. So yeah, Candyman. Clerks, Kevin Smith's very first movie. I had originally put Mallrats down, but I was like, it's like I quote Clerks a lot more than I do Mallrats, and I fucking make reference to that movie so much in my life. So I'm gonna go with Clerks here. So Clerks, dark comedy. It's fucking hilarious. It is just goddamn funny. And Kevin Smith, this is one of his. It is probably his best movie, which is crazy considering it's his first. But like, God, he just went fucking hard as fuck in this movie. So yeah, it's just Clerks. You gotta check it out if you haven't seen it. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably seen Clerks though. But if you haven't, go ahead and check it out. That's a good one. Next up is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Obvious, man. Like I said, I don't need to go on and on about how much I love Nightmare on Elm Street at this point on this show. But here I am again going on and on about it. Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger. Like, you can't top Freddy Krueger as far as 80s slashers go. Like, yeah, Jason's cool, Halloween's cool, you know, Evil Dead's cool. It's not really a slasher, that's like a possession movie, but like, still, they all came out in the 80s. But Freddy Krueger is just like a step above everybody else. Let's see what we got. Next up is The Godfather. Of course, The Godfather. Any movie buff or cinephile is going to tell you that The Godfather is one of the greatest movies ever made. And they're not wrong. They're 100% right. It's one of the most fucking fantastic movies ever made. It is probably the best gangster movie ever made. And is definitely one of the best of all time, just in general. Star-studded, well written, well performed, well directed, just a perfect movie. And you know, there aren't very many perfect movies, like, as far as that goes, like one that is like 100% like full blown, this is a serious, meant to be good movie. So yeah, that's The Godfather. Next up, in complete contrast, it's perfect for all the wrong reasons, Pink Flamingos. Of course, I can't fucking not talk about Pink Flamingos here. I just watched Pink Flamingos this year for the first time, and it just blew my fucking mind. Like, I knew all about Pink Flamingos, and I watched a few John Waters movies before, but Pink Flamingos is like, it is like the Godfather of trashy B movies, exploitation movies. Like, I can't fucking describe how beautiful and fucked up and perverse that movie is to you guys. It's something that you just have to see. Like, if you're a person who likes movies or just loves trash in general, like, it's something you need to experience in your life. Next up is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Another stark contrast from Godfather to Pink Flamingos to Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But yeah, I love Pee-wee Herman, the character. I think Paul Reubens is one of the most underrated actors of all time. And Pee-wee's Big Adventure, as far as a movie goes, is just like mad overlooked. It gets super overlooked. It's a funny and adventurous movie, and it's just, some of the shit is just mad clever. Like, it's supposed to be this dumb comedy movie, but like, it's so clever with how dumb it is that it's just like ironic. It is just crazy, and I can't fucking like. Yes, I am thankful for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Needed a little drink of that water. Ernest Goes to Camp. It falls into the same line of entertainment as Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I guess. It's a little more kiddie. It's a little more dumb than Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'll give it that. But Ernest holds a special place in my heart. Ernest P. Worrell, Jim Varney. I mean, just for a man to create a character that started out in commercials and he got 9 feature films, all with the same director, all with the same guy starring as the main character. It's never been done before. There's no way that 9 movies have been made about the same character and the same actor played that character with the same director directing it. Just iconic. Ernest, man. And Ernest Goes to Camp is by far the best Ernest movie. By far. Although Ernest Scared Stupid and Slam Dunk Ernest are way up there. Shit. Here we go. We're going back into the opposite end of the spectrum. Sling Blade. I'm hoping that most of you have seen Sling Blade. But for the off chance that you haven't seen Sling Blade, it's Billy Bob Thornton's greatest performance. And I believe he wrote and directed this as well. Man, you gotta watch the short that it's based on also. Some folks call it a Sling Blade or something, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it's just amazing. It's dark, it's funny, it's tense, it's everything you really want from an independent movie and more. Like I said, Billy Bob Thornton's best performance. It's got John Ritter giving a great performance in it. Dwight Yoakam. How could I almost forgot to mention Dwight Yoakam is in this movie, and he is great. Dwight Yoakam is probably the best crossover musician actor to not be a star. Like, he's just this character actor that shows up in stuff from time to time, but he always delivers a great performance, especially here as Dole Hardgraves. Sling Blade, you gotta check it out. You got to. If you haven't seen Sling Blade, which hopefully a lot of you have, hopefully almost all of you have, but if you haven't, I reckon you ought to go see it. And I don't know where it's available to watch, but it's definitely somewhere between Netflix, Prime, Hulu, all the different other streaming sites. It's on something, and if it's not, then you can fucking buy it. You can definitely buy that movie. Next up is a Spike Lee joint. Mr. Do the Right Thing is a Spike Lee joint. It's fucking great. This is probably one of my most favorite movies of all time. It's definitely in my top 10, I'd say, probably. It would take me forever to actually sit down and write like a top 10 movie list, but if I did, this one would be up there. If not in the top 10, it'd be right there at number 11 or 12. It's a funny movie. It's comedy. It's drama. It's tense. It does a good job at showing how people's misconceptions and prejudices can turn situations that just aren't situations into these tragedies. It shows how ignorance turns into madness, and it does it, and it tells you a good story, and it tells you a lot of fun jokes along the way. But it's really good, and it's oh man, I can't say I don't know if it's Spike Lee's best movie, but it's definitely, I think, my favorite out of Spike Lee's movies. Don't get me wrong, She Hate Me is great. Summer of Sam is another favorite of mine. But Do the Right Thing, classic. I would watch Do the Right Thing on loop. If there weren't already so many other movies that I needed to watch. So yeah, Do the Right Thing is on there. Another movie I'm thankful for is Big Fish. Tim Burton's Big Fish. It's just so fantastical. Like, that movie, it reminds me a lot of my grandfather. Because he was a storyteller, just like the main character's dad. Or I guess his dad is the main character, or say. So like the narrator, I guess then, is what we would call this guy. The dad in the story. He is like this storyteller, this tall tale teller. Everything is exaggerated a little bit and made more entertaining. But he tells it in such a way that you just believe it's true. And it's a great movie about feeling like people, feeling estranged from someone and then getting that clarity, that closure, and that moment of reconciliation before they pass away. It's definitely it's definitely an emotional movie to watch. But it's heartwarming. And it'll make you cry. It'll make you cry. It'll make you smile. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you, feel suspense. It's a classic. I want to say that a lot on this episode, but it is. It's a great movie. Where am I at? Oh, next up, we're going in the opposite direction from that one again. Hatchet. I put Hatchet just because, I love all four of those movies for different reasons. And yeah, Hatchet 2 and 3 are better than the first Hatchet, but without Hatchet 1, there couldn't be a Hatchet 2 or 3. And it's a cohesive story between those three movies, so it's actually all four movies are a cohesive story. They all just pick up from where the last one left off. The first three being just one day after the other. Crazy, man. What I really loved about it when I first watched it was that I was getting kind of I hadn't really seen a good horror movie that had come out in the recent years when I saw Hatchet around 2010, 11 maybe. I think it came out in 2007-ish. I don't know. Somebody's yelling at me right now because they know. But yeah, so I had seen it. It was relatively new still. It was a few years old probably. And I just really hadn't been seeing a lot of newer horror movies that were good. And when I saw that one, it wasn't a remake. Its whole selling point was it's not a remake. It's not based on a Japanese movie. It's good old American horror. And I was just like, hell yeah, this is fucking badass. Victor Crowley's just killing the hell out of people. It's fun, it's campy, and it's fucking brutal, and it's all, oh man, it's good shit, man. Adam Green really fucking did us a solid with that one. I've loved every Adam Green movie that I've seen so far, though, so yes, I'm thankful for Hatchet. I'm thankful for the Muppet movie, of course. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite movies is the Muppet movie. I love Muppets just in general. I have a bunch of Muppet movies on DVD, and I'm including really bad ones that came out in the early and mid 2000s that just aren't for me personally, but I still find some sort of enjoyment into it because it's Muppets. And I can't fucking not love the Muppets. So, yeah. Next up is Eraserhead. David Lynch being weird, doing weird stuff. Super fucking artsy, weird movie. But it's one of his most cohesive movies as far as the story goes, though, so it's crazy how that works. It's fucking crazy. It's disturbing, for sure, so you need to check that one out if you like disturbing movies. Next up, I got a twofer. It's not 2 for 1, it's just that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover them as one because they're sort of similar. Death Wish and Tid to Midnight, Charles Bronson movies. Death Wish, he gets revenge on the people who killed his wife, and well, he doesn't really get revenge on them, he just kind of becomes a vigilante and starts killing muggers and stuff. So yeah, it's a real fun movie. 10 to Midnight, he's like a detective trying to find a serial killer, and it's badass. It's Charles Bronson being Charles Bronson. It's funny. It's over the top. It's all that good 80s shit that you want. Next up is Serial Mom, another John Waters movie. I've talked about Serial Mom a few times on this podcast. I talked about it a lot on the John Waters bonus episode on Patreon right now. Yeah. Nothing better than the wholesome housewife mom being a serial killer. It's too much. Con Air is next. Everybody loves Nicolas Cage now all of a sudden. And everybody rides Mandy's dick, and I'm like, Mandy's good. Mandy's okay. It's a perfectly fine film. I did not like it. I just didn't like it as much as everyone else did. It seems. But that's neither here nor there, because this is about Con Air, and Con Air is a fucking great movie. Con Air is damn near perfect. It's got so many fucking great actors in it, just being fucking good at what they do, and the premise is great. It's fantastic. I mean, yeah, it's different from what you would consider a great movie nowadays, because it's got that 90s kind of cheese to it, but it's still very good, and it's still very well acted by everyone, well written, well directed. It's a blockbuster movie. It's a good fucking action movie. Like, you gotta love movies like that sometimes. Con Air, man. I mean, you got goddamn you got John Malkovich as Cyrus the Virus. Nicolas Cage is Cameron Poe. Ving Rhames is in it as Black Diamond, something like that. I can't remember his name. Dave Chappelle's in it. Danny Trejo. Steve Buscemi plays like this sicko fucking cannibal dude, and like, oh man, it's just a great movie. You gotta check it out. I'd say double feature it with Face Off too, because that's another crazy Nicolas Cage movie. Next up is Hereditary. Oh man, I'm forever thankful for Hereditary. It's one of the scariest movies I've seen in years. Until I had seen Martyrs, of course, but that's neither here nor there. But Hereditary is definitely fucking dreadful, and it is definitely not a movie you want to watch if you want to be uplifted. But it is definitely a very good movie, and it definitely should be watched and enjoyed. In the dark, with surround sound if you've got it. If not, it's fine. You can watch it at home and still get the full effect of it. Just definitely watch it in the dark, because it gives it another element. Midsommar. This is, I think, the only movie that came out this year that's on this list. Yep, it is the only movie that came out this year on this list. Making it the newest movie on the list too, because the next newest one is Hereditary. and that's a couple years old at this point. But it's the same director, Ari Aster. I think he's a genius. I'm looking forward to whatever he's going to make next. I'll keep watching his movies as long as they keep being good. I don't see them not being good at this point because Midsommar and Hereditary were both fantastic. They both delivered on every level that they could imagine they could possibly have delivered on. And that's really all you can ask for when it comes to horror movies. No Country for Old Men, Coen Brothers movie. There's no score. There's no music in it at all. It's all dialogue and silence. Another tense and suspenseful movie with a lot of good action in it as well. I had slept on it. I think I watched it earlier this year or last year. I can't remember when I watched it. Might have been last year. Or earlier this year. It was probably this summer, or like right before summer. Because I remember I went through a Coen Brothers thing right there in summertime this year. And I watched like Blood Simple and a bunch of other movies by them. But yeah, No Country for Old Men. We're wrapping it down here. I've only got 2 more left. Both of them were written by Tarantino, and one was also directed by Tarantino. I'm going to do Pulp Fiction first. Pulp Fiction, he wrote and directed and was in. There's something about the way Tarantino writes his dialogue that I just love, and it's because it's real. He actually is writing things, and like those are conversations you could hear somebody having, and that's a reason why I love this other movie that the last one here on the list, True Romance. It's probably my favorite movie of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time for sure. The dialogue, he wrote the script for this, and he sold the script to make Reservoir Dogs, and like, my God, I wonder what it would have looked like if he would have made this movie instead of Tony Scott. And just, ooh, so crazy, man. Like, Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken give 2 of their greatest performances in this movie, and that's not like, that is not a light statement, because those guys are fucking great. Those are 2 great actors, and they just fucking kill it here in this movie. So yeah, those are the 25 movies that I'm thankful for. Hopefully you've already seen a lot of them, but if you haven't, man, definitely go check them out. Like, there's not a bad movie on this list. There are movies that you might not like on this list, but as far as I'm concerned, these are all fantastic movies that everyone should see. Especially movies like Pink Flamingos, Eraserhead. Pulp Fiction is definitely mandatory watching. True Romance, just Clerks. Those are all like mandatory movies. Like, even if you like, because some of these movies, like the horror movies, I get, like, a lot of people don't like horror movies. They're dumb, but whatever. Like, you're just a lower life form for not liking horror movies. I'm just kidding. Of course, there's nothing wrong with not liking horror movies. But yeah, like The Godfather, like that's definitely mandatory watching. Do the Right Thing, like, yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank y'all for listening. Those are the 25 movies that I am thankful for this year. I'll do another one next year, and hopefully it'll be mostly newer, mostly different movies. So I'm definitely gonna put a bunch of them on there the same. I'm gonna try. I might make it a point to not use any of these next year. But let's see if I can do that. Anyways, thanks again for listening. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. Go ahead and check out our YouTube channel. Just search Martell's Movie Madness on YouTube. Got some cool little videos up there. Hit us up on Patreon. Patreon.com/Martell's Movie Madness. Support the podcast. Get some bonus content. It's a win-win situation. I mean, $10 a month. Can't beat that. You get 2 bonus episodes every month, as well as early access to all the regular episodes. So it's definitely well worth the money. Also, I'm doing a 50-50 raffle between now and Christmas Day. You'll have to have your tickets bought by Christmas Eve. It's $2 a ticket, $8 for 5 tickets. The winner of the drawing will get half of the money raised, and the other half will go to supporting the podcast. So if you want to purchase tickets for that, then go ahead and hit me up on any of our social medias, at Martell's Movie Madness on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, I'm sorry. And at Movie Madness 69 on Twitter. You can also hit me up personally on my own Instagram, at Trailer Trash God, and on my Twitter at Martell the God. Or if you just want to go ahead and throw that money into the Cash App, then it's $ Trailer Trash God. Again, it's $2 a ticket. $8 gets you 5 tickets. So it'll be $8 for every 5 tickets. So if you get 7 tickets, it's going to be 8 plus 4 for the extra 2 tickets. So just put whatever amount you want to put for the tickets and your name in the description. If you want to, you can go ahead and put the number of tickets you want as well in the description. I'll be able to deduce that by the amount of money you send, though. And the drawing will be on Christmas Day, and then you'll get your money that day. It'll be Cash App right to you. Again, thanks for listening. Hopefully you guys are joining us on Patreon, and supporting the podcast any way you can. Yep, now let's watch some fucking movies, y'all.